friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop, just with some updates of some information that I think a lot of people need to know out there. First of all, I just want to tell you guys that I've hit the wall. I seriously have hit the wall. A vacation is going to be in order fairly soon. You talking about a case of burnout. I tell you, it really hurts me deep down inside to turn away so many people. I have been turning away at least a dozen people every single day for the last several weeks at least, and before that, at least 3 or 4 people a day. But recently, it's been as many as a dozen a day. It hurts to turn people away like that, but unfortunately, the reality is the plate is over full for the next several years. And when I say I am booked for the next several years, I'm not kidding. So there's really not much point in asking if I can fix your instrument at this time, because I can't. I have so many people waiting to ship instruments to me, and there's at least 70 people on that list. I haven't even got near that list in the last 9 months because I have so much business just walking through the door. So the bottom line is, if you have an instrument you want repaired or fixed, I'm sorry, I just can't help you right now. I am suggesting that people start looking around at other folks. One of the guys that I just noticed the other day on YouTube, and he contacted me, he seems to be a smart fella. He seems to have a lot of common sense and doing pretty well. I would suggest that you check out his videos and perhaps maybe throw some work his way. His name is Brian Gossard, Gossard. I'll put a link to his email in the description of this video, and you can email him if you have an instrument that you'd like to have repaired. I would recommend that you watch some of his videos. I'll put a link to one of his videos in the description as well. I really do think that we ought to all support one another in this business. There is so much snobbery, if you will, in this line of work. So many people think that the way they do it is the only way it can be done. You know, similar to the hide glue issue, they just feel like that's the only way you can do it. Well, I don't feel that way at all, as you know if you've watched my videos. I say there's a million ways to skin every cat, and you need to skin it the way it's appropriate for that particular circumstance. The only thing I saw in Brian's videos that I didn't completely agree with, though I don't completely disagree with either, is his statements on hide glue, that he more or less indicated that that was the only kind of glue that you could take apart. And I've proved many times that you can take Titebond apart as easily, perhaps even easier than hide glue. I've got that one video out there, and I believe it's 176, and that's a guess on my part, of my brother's guitar that I built for him. And I obviously built it with Titebond, and I took the neck out of that guitar in under 15 minutes. Now, beat that, hide glue. You know, you just can't hardly beat that. So I don't see why people say that it's hard to take an instrument apart with that. So other than that, one exception, it looked to me like Brian and I are pretty much on the very same page. So I think he looks like he's got a lot of common sense and a lot going on. His videos are very well produced. So check out Brian and see what you think about that. Okay, regarding the t-shirt issue, I've sold a ton of t-shirts, and I thank you everybody for those orders. The 2XL in the I was better but I'm getting over it t-shirt, those are still on back order. So finally I suggested that they just get a different brand and order those in. Though we kept the brand quality up there. I think they're going to be jerseys or something like that, which is a good brand as well. And so, you know, you're going to get a good quality shirt, but it's just going to be made by a different company. It's going to look pretty much the same. It's going to be in the same color, etc. So those should be coming in within maybe a week, and we can fill those few back orders that we have. I think we have 4 back orders on that. The oil varnish saga continues. My oil varnish really did turn out pretty well. I'm having trouble getting it to dry really well. It still seems a bit touchy to me even after a week's drying. So I, finally sanded that down and put on another coat of oil varnish, but of course I put some more dryer in it this time. and put on a second coat on there, so hopefully it's going to dry better. I don't know. I'm still the vote's still kind of out on that. The UV light is the same way. I got so many suggestions, and I thank you for that, on the UV light, but so much of it was conflicting. You know, the one guy would say, you always do ABC with the UV lights, and the next guy would say, you never do ABC with the UV lights. And, you know, it went on like that, and I got not just one or two things like that, but dozens of things that, you know, were just conflicting. Like, you need to use this particular spectrum, you don't use that spectrum, and then the next guy would say exactly opposite. It was just crazy. And some people were saying you got to use UVA, and some people were saying, no, that's not the right one. And, you know, and I don't know. I truly don't. And I don't know who does, because everybody seemed to think they were an authority. So what I did was I turned it over to an engineer who is actually buying the next mandolin. I mentioned quite a while back that I'm going to be building a mandolin for a fellow. I think I said in that video in Maine, but it was really Massachusetts. But anyway, the bottom line is I am building a custom mandolin for the fellow in Massachusetts. And matter of fact, I've got it pretty far along. Videos on all that stuff will be coming out down the road. But he is an engineer, and he's looking into the UV lighting situation for me, and that way I can just wash my hands of that and let him deal with it. And he's got an interest in it because he wants oil varnish on his mandolin. I've got a video here of a weekend project that we did for my son. He lives on the farm right in front of mine. As you're coming down the county road, you pass his farm first. He's got 160 acres there, then I've got 280 acres on my farm. And he's building a large barn on his place. It's the biggest barn I've ever been involved with building. It's 60 feet wide and 120 feet long. And so that's a pretty big barn. The steel trusses that you're going to see in the videos, I don't know what they weighed. Let me just tell you, they were heavy. Real heavy. It's so heavy it's hard to explain. And we didn't have a crane to set them. So you think, well, how did you set them then? Well, we set them with a Bobcat. Now, my Bobcat's a medium-sized Bobcat. It's an S175. My brother-in-law brought a S300 machine, Bobcat, which looked to be close to twice as big as mine. And even with that, it was all that machine wanted. Now, we didn't get any footage of the actual construction. Sorry, I'm just showing you this is after the fact. We were way too busy to be taking footage while we were trying to build this thing and get those trusses in the air. You know, it was just too hectic. So I didn't bother with trying to take footage of that. I wish I had now in hindsight, but I didn't. So hopefully you'll just enjoy the flyover with the drone. And once again, the old Rosa luck struck there, and I couldn't get as close to it as I thought I might be able to get to it by going down the valley. Restricted airspace once again. As you can see, we're in front of the shop, taking off in the drone. This will give you some perspective of where the building is that we were working on. We're going to fly right over the top of the shop and right down the valley.
Coffee, tea, and soda pop, written on the faded window sign.
The building that you can see way down the valley is just a barn that my son has on his property. We're going to stop short of that location and turn to our left.
And Pearl are her best friends. There you'll find the three of them. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9:30. You can set a watch by their routine.
Right about in here, I start getting the warnings from Fort Leonard Wood that we're in restricted airspace. And there you can see the top of the building from the air. I can get a little bit closer, as you'll see, but not much closer because of the restricted airspace. It's just not easy being me. And I couldn't figure out how to get the camera to tilt down, so I actually had to lower my altitude, which didn't help see it any better, really. It's just not easy being me. That's all I can tell you. It's really hard to see the controls in the daylight outside operating the drone because the picture gets so washed out you can't really see what you're trying to do. So it's great to have all the abilities that the smartphone and everything attached to it has, but you can't see what you're doing anyway because of the bright sunlight. But there you can see the building is 60 feet wide and 120 feet long. Doesn't look that big from the air and from back at that distance. We're still pretty good distance from it.
Classic small town Norman Rockwell scene. They talk about the wheres and whens, a little gossip now and then about who's doing what, maybe why. You mean to tell me you don't know about what's her name and so? Can you believe that old coot's still alive? Their own little corner of the world. Opal, ruby, and
We're headed toward my barn, and we'll fly over that. My shop is in front and to the left of the barn, behind those trees right there. We're headed directly at the shop right now.
Stitch a work of art. One of them has good advice. One breaks the rules and don't think twice. One needs to mend a wounded heart. Each a precious gem in this old world.
I believe we're going to pan to the right here, and you can see the old shop there, that white building that you can see up against those trees. And then there's my big metal barn down on the right, and that's our riding ring where they ride the horses. And there's a picture of the shop roof again. I'm going to drop an elevation here, trying to give you a picture of my wife's new horse trailer that she bought.
Opal, ruby, and
It's a full camping trailer. I guess you could say it sleeps 4 or something like that, maybe 5, and hauls 3 horses to boot. It was a custom-made trailer. We got a good deal on it. It was used, of course. There's the hydraulic brush hog I made. We're flying toward right there. And now I'm going to fly right back up the driveway and land in front of the shop.